Hey family, it's Dorothy Tonay and welcome back to my channel. Oh my goodness guys, I cannot believe it has literally been maybe a couple of years since I have posted a YouTube video. If you're watching this video, thank you so much. Don't forget to already like and subscribe. I promise this time I will be around consistently for 2026. So I wanted to make this video because, ta-da, surprise, I relocated. I moved from Detroit, Michigan to Dallas, Texas 3 months ago. This video is going to share a lot of insight on why I decided to move, some of the pros and cons so far that I feel has been included into my move here to Dallas, Texas. And I just wanted to share, a lot about my experience. There might be somebody watching this that wants to change their environment, move out of state, maybe even possibly move here to Dallas, Texas, and kind of want to know, how to do it and what were some of the pros and cons about it. So we'll get straight into the video. So I moved here 3 months ago, and the move was fairly simple because I had help. Now I do want to say, don't feel pressure. Like, a lot of people will drive here, they'll just bring a few things, they don't really hire moving companies. So I actually drove, guys. I drove about 19 hours to Dallas, Texas. Now I did not do it all in one drive. I split it up. I do highly recommend, if you're driving by yourself, if you can, to split it up unless you really just have a lot of energy. I did drive by myself. So I drove by myself, but I did split it up in 2 days. So I drove to Nashville, Tennessee. I stayed in Nashville for a night. So I drove about 8 to 9 hours to Nashville, and then I woke up the next day in the morning and I drove 10 hours to Dallas, Texas. So it took me about, I'd say about 19 hours, 18, 19 hours to drive here. Now you do have a couple of options if you don't want to drive. If you're just that person that is just not a driver and you much rather travel via flight, that is completely fine. Honestly guys, the only reason that I drove, because I do not like driving, is because I have a 70-pound boxer. He's a big dog, and I was really afraid to adventure like the avenues of putting him under the plane. I was kind of freaked out by the idea. I had seen there was a few companies that could help transport. Obviously the more, those kind of things do get more expensive. I was more so fearful of, just his safety. So if you're a dog mom like me and you're just like, I don't really see myself putting my pet in someone else's hands, unfortunately the best option is to drive because now everything is in your hands. So I did drive the whole way with my dog, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the only other option is that you fly, right? Now if you're watching this and you don't have any pets or anything like that, I mean, kudos to you. Super easy, super simple. You can honestly just catch a flight and get your things shipped. So that brings me to my second point. So how I got all of my things here to Texas, I actually did hire a shipping company. To be honest, I feel like you can go without it. Let's say, for instance, if you want to just bring some clothes and things like that and you do decide to drive, you can always just put whatever you want to take in your car and then maybe sell everything you have before you move out of state, and then go ahead and just bring whatever you have so that you don't have to hire like a moving company or a shipping company to ship your stuff. I did hire a moving company. I was grateful to have had the assets to be able to do that. Would I do it again? I will say no. I'll be honest. The reason being is I feel like what I paid for the moving company was essentially how much I paid for a lot of my furniture and stuff. Like, I kind of could have like sold my furniture and everything and rebought everything here, if that makes sense, versus putting all that work in. And another thing is, you do have to be mindful that obviously shipping all of those things out of state, that is a big liability. Sometimes everything that's delivered back to you when they bring it to you is not always in the best shape. I did have a couple of, like, my chairs were broken. One of my like lights was broken that I had for it was like a tree lamp that I had for a really long time, and it was very special and sentimental to me because my mom gave it to me. So just keep that in mind. And it's a lot of these moving companies or out-of-state moving companies, they don't really replenish at the rate I feel like they should. For instance, let's say they might say, we'll give you you know, this percentage back if something was to break, but it doesn't sometimes, or most times I feel like paying out to what you paid for it, you know, so you kind of end up, you know, at a loss if something gets broken. So really do your research. If you do hire a moving company, kind of ask, you know, how they secure your items, you know, and what is the protocol if something were to happen to your items. So that's something you want to do, is just make sure you find a really reputable moving company if you want to find like an out-of-state moving company to help you. So aside of me hiring a moving company and driving here to Texas, another option you have if you fly and you don't have a dog like me where you want to drive them all the way here, or if you're just that person that likes to drive, likes the scenery, you could do that as well. I will be honest and say it was such a beautiful scenery driving here. There was like a few hours where I was driving at nighttime that kind of made me very anxiety because it was thundering and storming once I got like into Tennessee, and of course there's all like these mountains and everything, so I was kind of freaked out, I'll be honest. I just want to give you a heads up, but the best thing to do was really keep calm, like put on some of your favorite calming music. That's what really got me through. I do also feel like having my dog with me, like that emotional support was really meaningful. I feel like I probably would have been more scared if like it was just me by myself, but just having my dog with me was really helpful. So I'd also advise, if you have a good friend or a family member, I would advise like maybe having someone travel with you, or if you're just crazy like me and like to get things done, you can always go by yourself. But if you do, I would say just have some calming music. Make sure you make stops, you know, you got to make stops to get gas, things like that. And then when you do, just make sure you have something that to keep you up, whether it's coffee, a light snack. Don't eat too much because then you don't have to go to the bathroom too much either. But just make sure you have, like, you know, those things in place. Now you're probably wondering, okay, if I'm that person that wants to catch a flight, obviously that's pretty reasonable, but obviously you might be that person that also wants to ship some of your things here. You're probably wondering, okay, if I do ship these things out of state, how much does that typically cost me if I hire a moving company? Honestly, it can range. I feel like the cheapest, and this is a really great deal, so you want to make sure you do research. I feel like some of the most like affordable rates I've seen was anywhere from like maybe $1,500 to $2,000 is pretty much average for out of state moving, depending on how many hours it is away, things like that. But I think the best deal that I seen moving from Michigan to Texas was about $1,800, and that's essentially kind of what I paid to move out of state. So that's just the average, like about $1,800 if you do want to hire like an out of state moving company to like transport all your things. And again, I'm coming from Michigan to Texas, so that's about what, an 18-hour drive. So just keep that in mind. It might be cheaper or more expensive based on like where you're moving to or where you're moving from. Another option too, if you're that person that is flying and you're wondering like, okay, well, how much typically does it cost for me to get my car shipped? Obviously, that's another thing that will vary depending on where you're coming from and where you're moving to. But if you are in Michigan like me, or were in Michigan like me, and you are in Dallas, Texas, or moving to Dallas, Texas, I think the average price I've seen was about $900 to $1,000. So that's just to give you an idea. It can get really expensive when you're toting and bringing things out of state via car or items that you want shipped here. So I know a lot of people will kind of like just cold turkey, just move, leave everything behind and start fresh. I honestly don't think that's a bad idea, being that a lot of the money you're spending to transport is money you could use to like refurbish and buy everything all over again, if that makes sense. So both options are, you know, are viable. It's just, for me, I had just bought new furniture. That's a whole nother story we'll get into. I had just got a lot of new things, and then I'm like, you know, I was like, I just wanted those specific things with me because the company that I ordered those things from, they did not ship, unfortunately, to this particular state. They were a Michigan-based furniture company, so it just really worked out for me that way. Cool. So we talked about expenses of, you know, moving here, whether you're shipping items or you're shipping your car. We talked about driving solo or with others or pets, and the flying options as well. So I had actually traveled to Dallas, Texas before I decided to move here actually a couple of years back. I was actually supposed to move sooner, but had some delays. So I decided to just go ahead and make sure I did it for the year 2025. When I came, it just was a vibe. Like I just really like felt the good energy, the good environment energy. Like I was like, if I moved anywhere, I always said I would move somewhere in Texas. It used to be Houston, but then I got a little older. I'm just turned 32 December 11th, and it's almost like once I got out of my 20s, I was like, no, I kind of want somewhere a little more reserved, and I feel like Dallas is still vibrant, still fun, but just a little bit more reserved than Houston. And that's just my opinion, because Houston, you know, if you've been there, you know, they like to party daily. So I just thought this was a really good balance for me at my age now, being 32. And yeah, so I want to hop into kind of how I decided to choose my apartment here. And then I'm gonna make a part 2 on this video. I just kind of wanted to share the big news that I moved, kind of what my experience was like, and then I'll get more into the details of kind of what it's like now. But I did actually travel here before I chose my apartment. Most people sometimes will do virtual tours. For me, I'm really like an in-person person. Like I really want to kind of get a lay of the land. Like I want to like drive around the neighborhoods and see, you know, how I feel, because everyone knows like the DFW area is really big and there's so many pockets in cities that you could choose to live in. So you really want to try to get a feel for it. I'm actually in North Dallas, so I'm in Frisco. All of my girlies who are in Frisco or North Dallas, comment below. Feel free to link up with me because I'm very new here, and one thing I've noticed, there are a lot of new people who move here and looking to build community. So definitely feel free to comment below. I'm definitely open to connecting with. So yeah, so basically I did come here. I looked at apartments in person. I drove around the areas, and that's how I decided to pick my apartment. So guys, I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to tell you a hilarious story, okay? After 20 hours, almost 20 hours of driving to Texas, 2 days of driving, traveling, I get to my apartment here, and I stayed there for 2 days. After the first day in my bathroom, again, I'm in Frisco, I noticed that there was a very interesting looking bug in my bathroom. And I'm a Midwest girl, okay? I'm from Detroit, Michigan. In my mind, I'm like, okay, this is Texas. There's more bugs, more insects here. Maybe this is just some sort of beetle bug. I don't know, right? So that was that. Well, day 2 comes, and next thing you know, I go to my door. I'm cleaning up. I'm organizing at this point, right? I'm getting ready to start unpacking things. It's my second day in this apartment. Y'all, it was roaches everywhere. Everywhere in my bathroom, dead by my door, crawling, baby roaches crawling on the counter. When I say I flipped out, I flipped out. Okay, I am very, very anti-roach. Like I do not like certain bugs. Roaches and rats are the first thing to get me gone. Like I see one of those too close in proximity, I can't. So after 20 hours of traveling, I stay in my apartment for a day. I'm finally unpacking, thinking I'm getting ready to settle in. Okay, now I find out my apartment is infested with roaches. I literally pack up all of my belongings. I throw out a lot of my luggage at this point because unfortunately I had left my luggage open throughout the night, and I seen like a bunch of dead roaches around it. So in my mind, I was freaking out because I was like, oh my goodness, they're probably in this bag, because I seen like a lot of baby ones. So I instantly threw all of my stuff in the washer and the dryer. I threw all my luggage away. I drove to Walmart. I bought new luggage. I bleached every item I had that I had unpacked. I bleached and Lysol it down. Like I'm telling you, I'm that terrified. I didn't want to bring any with me either, guys. So I go to the leasing office, and honestly I feel like they just weren't as compassionate about it or even as concerned, which let me know that they probably already knew there was a problem and that maybe some people are just okay or used to it. But then I got deeper into the reviews. Guys, when you are moving into these apartments, make sure you don't just skim through the reviews. Make sure you thoroughly, entirely look through them, because later I end up going like on a deeper dive, and I end up finding a lot of people had the same exact issue. So and a lot of these companies too, they'll have people pay for like fake reviews and stuff like that. So you really have to do a deep dive into the reviews. I go to the leasing office. She's like, oh, well, I can't do anything about it right now. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like what am I? First of all, it's a health hazard. Like, what do you expect me to do? Like, so she's like, well, let me see, because there's like 8 different buildings, right, as part of this complex. So she's like, well, let me see if there's, maybe there's another apartment available in a different building. Okay, great. There we go. There's a solution to one solution to our problem, guys. So maybe 4 hours later, she calls me. She say, hey, come take a look at this unit. We have it available across the streets, like kind of like diagonal in this building. Now, in my mind, I was like, okay, there's a possibility that there could still be the same issue, but let's go, since it's in a whole nother building. Let's go, let's see. They had just cleaned it, so I go into the unit. Of course, it looks very clean. Like, and these apartment complexes that I moved to, guys, they're luxury apartments. They were just built like 4 years ago, right? And sometimes that could be a thing with new builds, like they could be more prone to insects, but like I feel like at that point you should have some sort of control, like something's not like being maintenance, So, and then they supposedly spray them before, but I was just like, why would it still be roaches crawling if you guys frequently spray? Which, it was just a sign of infestation at that point. I go in there for hours, right? I just start to bring my stuff into the second apartment they moved me to, and as soon as I walk in, baby roaches crawling on the counters. I said, this is no one but God. Thank you, Lord. So I repack my things up and I put them back in my car, and I go to the leasing office and I say, you have an infestation and I cannot stay here. I will not live in discomfort and pay top dollar for a luxury apartment and live with roaches. Like, it just will not happen. It just will not work. And so they try to give, oh, you have to break the lease fee and all. I'm like, absolutely not. If y'all need someone, tell them you're very, very knowledgeable. If you ever had this experience in law, a licensed realtor. I do know some real estate law, although I'm not an attorney, but I did advise them. I said, I am a licensed real estate agent. I have a lot of knowledge in law. If you guys do not get me out of this lease because you're not holding up your end of the bargain either, then we would just go to court at that point. So after a bunch of back and forth, I'm battling with property managers, this, and that, third. They were like, you know what, fine. We're gonna let you out of lease. We're gonna send you your money back, and that's gonna be it. Okay, great. So I go to a hotel for 4 days, guys. I go see about maybe 5 apartment complexes. Now I'm in my mind looking, to make sure there's not a problem. And a lot of the apartments I was looking at, they were on the first floor. So I will say, keep that in mind, that I've heard, on the first floor, especially if you're in warm climates like Texas, like you probably will have a little more insect issues if, the apartment's not spraying as frequently. And you can request for them to spray more frequently as well. Well, anyways, I go to a hotel for 4 days. I found one I really liked, but turns out I talked to somebody there. They had a roach problem. I'm like, okay, what is going on here? Because I'm ready to just hop back on that road to Michigan for 20 hours, as everybody's going to have roaches here in these apartments. Well, luckily, one of my friends actually stayed in an apartment complex in Frisco, and she had nothing but good things to say. I came to see it. It looks very clean, very promising. I'm like, you know what? Let's just give it a try. So I moved here. I've been here for 3 months. The coast is clear. I'm very happy. I love it. I'll probably give you guys a tour at some point. And the coast is clear now. But man, that was my experience. Like, imagine driving 20 hours somewhere and then having to move twice into 2 different apartments, both infested with roaches. So now you have to move and live out of your car and move to a hotel, and then live in a hotel for 4 to 5 days so that you could find a new apartment complex. It was the most exhausting experience ever. But I'm here and I'm happy. And so far, I am still in the adventuring kind of mode. I don't come out as much, honestly. I am working on that now. So if you are a North Dallas girly and there is some recommendations of places, let me know. I have been to a few places that I've really enjoyed so far, so I'll probably make another video on that. But I just really wanted to make this video to share my experience so far. You know, one, announce that I did move, kind of my journey moving here and what it's been like so far. I'll give a couple pros and cons and then maybe make a part 2. I will say I love the weather here, obviously. I come from Michigan, so it gets really cold in the winter. It's still some kind of cool days here, but it's not like Michigan. So it is a cool thing to kind of have warm weather. Another thing I'll say is there's a lot of adventurous things to do, so I have been getting out a little more. You know, I'm kind of coming out of my shell now, finally kind of settling in. So I do enjoy that. I will say a couple of cons I've noticed. Definitely the traffic. Everybody's gonna tell you Dallas traffic can get really crazy. I feel like distance is a thing, like especially if you live, like I live in North Dallas, a lot of the things that I want to go to, or in general, because it's so big here in the area, like a lot of things are like 30 minutes away from everything. Like you're gonna take a little drive, but I'm not opposed. Like I'm a realtor, I'm used to driving, so it's really not a big deal for me. I specifically wanted to live in a suburb with access to downtown areas. I much rather that. I'm not the girl like that wants to live in all the action or downtown. I like to just be close in proximity to it and live in like a nice, you know, intimate suburban area. So that's kind of what I chose. But I'll make a part 2 and maybe I'll find some other cool things to talk about, maybe some cool places I've been so far, talk more about, you know, my experiences so far here, and we'll kind of go from there. But yes, your girl is in Dallas, Texas now. If there's any North Dallas people in here, feel free to tap in with me, ask me any questions, give me any recommendations of cool spots to go. And I'm definitely here to build a community, so don't feel afraid to reach out, say hi. I look forward to making more of these videos, and not just even moving videos. I'm really going to be hyper focused on my niche this year, which is a lot of business, wealth, and lifestyle. And I'm excited to go on a learning journey with all of my followers. Thank you so much for supporting me. And if you're watching this video, thank you, because I know it's been a couple years since I've posted, and I look forward to sharing more experiences with you guys. I always tell people I am obsessed with YouTube. It's such an authentic place. Like I just love the community that it builds with people. I'm not really a big like Instagram or Facebook person, so this is really my place. And I feel like for 2026 I'm really going to be focusing on going on a journey, not just with myself, but with people in the YouTube community. And I hope to inspire a lot of people on here on my channel. I'm hoping to maybe even gain some new friends, family members, because y'all know once you become my friend, you're my family. And yeah, just be inspirational and to kind of allow everybody to learn from each other and build connections here in a big network. So I'm excited for that. I hope you guys are having an amazing holiday week. Merry Christmas, Merry early Christmas, Happy early New Year. I'm going to be making another video on some things I'm doing to prepare for 2026, and hopefully you can take some value from that. But drop in the comments below if you want me to make another part 2 video about Dallas or share any more insights. And feel free to ask me any questions if you're someone who's planning to move here or out of state and like have any additional questions. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe button, because your girl is here for good this time, and I'm posting videos 1 to 2 times a week this time. So love you, fam. Talk soon. Thank you.